Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a real-life, deep-sea detective story, tracking down a phantom of the ocean that honestly feels more like a myth than a reality. We're talking about the incredibly elusive Goblin Shark. Okay, let's dive right into this. The deep ocean remains one of the least observed environments on Earth. It's kind of staggering when you think about it, right? We spend all this time mapping out other planets, yet there are these massive stretches of water, thousands of meters straight down, that are practically alien worlds right here on Earth. They're incredibly hard to get to, rarely visited, and completely shrouded in pitch blackness. Which naturally brings us to a pretty massive question. So what exactly is hiding down there? Well, because this environment is so extreme and remote, the reality is that many of the animals calling the deep ocean home are only known to us through pure accidental encounters. We're not usually out there looking for them, they just turn up. And among the most elusive of these accidental discoveries, that would be our main suspect today. Section 1. The Deep Ocean Ghost. Now, the goblin shark isn't just your average fish. It has absolutely earned its reputation as one of the ocean's best hidden predators. To get just how ghostly it really is, you have to look at how we normally find them. For well over a century, marine biologists knew the goblin shark existed, but almost all of our knowledge came from total accidents. Specifically, they'd get caught as bycatch in commercial fishing gear. Until very recently, seeing these creatures actually living and moving around in their natural deep-sea habitat was practically unheard of. We were basically trying to put together a giant puzzle while missing most of the pieces. Section 2. Anatomy of a living fossil. Because if you think its history of hiding is bizarre, wait until we talk about the biology of this thing. Its physical traits are literally straight out of a sci-fi movie. Meet Misocarina austini, the goblin shark. When marine biologists talk about this creature, they don't just call it a shark. They widely refer to it as a living fossil. And why is that? Because it's the very last surviving member of an ancient family of sharks. The whole rest of its evolutionary family tree has been gone for a really, really long time. Now, what's really interesting is this massive number right here, 125 million. According to a recent study in the Journal of Fish Biology, that's exactly how many years the goblin shark's lineage has existed on Earth. Just let that sink in for a second. 125 million years. That means the ancestors of the very shark we're talking about today were swimming around in the deep ocean while dinosaurs were still stomping around on land. Surviving for 125 million years definitely requires some serious biological hardware, and the goblin shark's anatomy is perfectly tuned for the abyss. First up, it has this incredibly long, flattened snout that projects way forward, giving it a totally unique silhouette. But right beneath that snout is its most fascinating and, frankly, most terrifying feature: jaws that can rapidly detach and shoot outward to snatch up prey in an instant. Add to that a bunch of highly specialized sensory organs packed into its snout, and you've got yourself a perfectly adapted deep-sea hunter. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why those sensory organs are so absolutely crucial. Unlike the familiar coastal sharks that rely heavily on their vision in sunlit waters, the goblin shark lives in an environment with zero light, complete darkness. Down there, relying on your eyes is completely useless. Instead, they use those specialized organs to detect the super faint electrical signals given off by the movements of other animals. That is exactly how they find their food in the dark. Section 3. The Breakthrough, Ocean Sightings. Let's move on and see how this builds. Because for decades, we only really had dead specimens to look at. But recently, we finally got the groundbreaking clues we've been waiting for. Everything before 2019 was just accidental fishing bycatch, static data. But then, the research vessel EV Nautilus had a total chance encounter. Fast forward a bit to 2024, and another major observation happened down in the Tonga Trench. These two specific moments completely revolutionized what we know about this species. So let's break down that first sighting. It went down during a deep-sea expedition by the EV Nautilus in 2019. The team was using a remotely operated vehicle, an ROV, to explore an underwater mountain, known as a seamount, out near Jarvis Island in the Central Pacific. And there, nearly 3/4 of a mile beneath the ocean surface, the ROV suddenly captured footage of this pale, totally unfamiliar shark. Getting that footage, though, wasn't exactly a picture-perfect Hollywood moment. It was an extremely brief observation. As you might expect for an animal perfectly adapted to utter darkness, the bright lights from the ROV and the humming of its motors clearly spooked the shark. It quickly bolted right back into the dark. Actually, the whole thing happened so fast that the footage was initially just archived away with thousands of other hours of video. It wasn't until later that marine researchers went back through the material and realized the absolute treasure trove they were sitting on, literally one of the rarest shark observations ever caught on camera. But then the story gets even better. In 2024, we got our second major sighting. This time, the location was near the Tonga Trench, down in the South Pacific. Researchers deployed these baited camera systems right along the slope of the trench, and sure enough, a goblin shark made an appearance. What's super compelling here is the geography. The second sighting happened over 1,000 miles away from that 2019 location. Contrasting these two encounters really puts things into perspective for us. On one hand, you have the 2019 sighting at a seamount, which is this isolated, rich ecosystem rising straight up from the ocean floor. And then you compare that to the 2024 sighting in the Tonga Trench, an extreme, incredibly dramatic deep water habitat. Finding this shark in such vastly different environments, thousands of miles apart, proves that their distribution across the Pacific Ocean is way, way broader than science ever previously believed. Section 4, Unanswered Deep Sea Mysteries. So the crucial point is, even with these incredible, groundbreaking video captures, we are quite literally still in the dark. It's actually pretty humbling to see just how many pieces are missing. Because of how ridiculously expensive and difficult it is to reach them, we still don't know their reproduction methods. We have no real idea what their actual population size is or what their migration patterns look like. We don't even know how long they live. Even the most basic stuff, like how they continuously move through the water or actively hunt their prey, is practically non-existent in our records. And this is exactly why every single confirmed sighting is a crucial piece of this massive puzzle. Look, when researchers study a dead specimen pulled up in a fishing net, sure, they can learn about its physical anatomy, that extending jaw, the unique snout, but they learn absolutely nothing about its behavior. Seeing them alive, actively navigating the crushing pressure and pitch blackness of their natural habitat, gives us dynamic information that captured specimens just can't offer. It essentially breathes life back into this 125-million-year-old fossil. Which brings us to an ultimate, kind of mind-bending question. If an apex predator with extendable jaws can hide in the depths for over a century before we finally catch it on video, just how many more 125-million-year-old secrets are waiting out there in the dark? The deep ocean truly is Earth's final frontier, and we are really just beginning to turn on the lights. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep your curiosity alive, and I will see you next time.